Golden Girls, the big day for the U.S. women in Milan, including the overtime thriller that had a St. Louis family and local hockey fans jumping for joy.
I don't think you can put words to it.
Tonight, only on 5 on Your Side, reaction from a hometown gold medalist.
Dry air is surging in behind today's scattered showers and storms. Now we wait for the really chilly air. How a surge of cold air might impact your weekend plans.
Our top story, a deadly crash wakes up a South County neighborhood.
I knew it was a bad one because it was so loud.
Tonight, neighbors say it's not the first time. This is 5 on Your Side at 10. I'm Mike Bush. Kelly Jackson has the night off. Tonight, one man is dead. 2 others are in the hospital after a crash this morning on Kingston Drive near Geneva in Limay. New tonight, 5 on Your Side's Robert Townsend talked to neighbors who have concerns after this latest wreck.
Kathleen Turner's Thursday morning started out as a routine one.
I was just sitting at my dining room table having breakfast.
But in a flash,
It was a huge boom, and I immediately grabbed my cell phone.
Turner looked outside her window and saw this 2-car crash in her Limay neighborhood.
It's really terrible. We hear this all the time. But when this one hit, I knew it was a bad one because it was so loud.
Police say just before 8 Thursday morning, a man in a burgundy car drove southbound on Kingston, lost control of the car and hit a white Mercedes. The driver of the burgundy vehicle was thrown from the car and died at the scene. Police say his male passenger suffered life-threatening injuries.
A couple of the people tried to get the people out of the burgundy car. They were beating on the windows trying to crack it.
Investigators say the driver of the other car, a woman, suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Witnesses say a neighbor, who's a nurse, ran to comfort her until paramedics arrived. Kathleen Turner shared this photo of the emotional encounter.
She sat in her vehicle for a few minutes, I think just because she was just overwhelmed, but she did manage to get herself out. My heart goes out to all of them because it's a terrible tragedy.
It brings back lots of memories from a couple years ago.
In July of 2023, a 73-year-old driver was killed near Kingston and Telegraph Road. Police say the woman traveled at an extremely high rate of speed, veered off the road, hit an embankment, went airborne, and crashed into a house. They say she may have suffered a medical emergency.
They're flying up and down here all the time.
Turner would like to see the brakes put on speeders.
What would really be nice is to have a couple of stop lights or stop signs to kind of slow people down.
So far, police have not said if speed contributed to today's crash. They also have not yet released the name of the man who died. Well, tonight our weather impact alert is over. Hours ago, hail and a brief tornado were reported in our far eastern counties in Illinois. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell is now tracking a big cool down for our weekend.
We are going to see temperatures cooling down. They're already starting that process. Some of us today saw a little bit of hail. This was from Chris up in Godfrey, Illinois. Most of it was very small. A lot of pea-sized hail scattered out of some of those thunderstorms earlier. But our large hail came this evening as the storms intensified east of St. Louis over as you worked your way into Bond and Fayette County. Those were where the largest hail reports came from, and it was upwards of golf ball size hail in a few cases, and then the tornadoes touching down far eastern portions of Fayette County and into Effingham County. Again, all well to the east of St. Louis as we expected. So what's new and next? Well, the gusty winds have picked up. They'll stick with us overnight. It's bringing in much drier air and cooler air, which gets even colder going into the weekend, but no more precipitation is likely. Mainly dry conditions. We will talk more about this temperature roller coaster ride we're on after being nearly 70 earlier today, Mike.
All right, Scott. A move tonight at the Missouri State Capitol to prevent sticker shock when you get your personal property tax bills. 5 on Your Side's Laura Barczewski is here to break down the legislation which, if passed, would prevent drastic and sudden tax spikes. Laura?
It would, Mike. Legislators say this bill wouldn't dramatically increase or decrease personal property taxes, but if passed, it would slow the growth and be treated like some of our other taxes. Representative Mike McGurl says for the last 3 years he's been working on legislation that would put limits on your personal property tax for things like your car.
It won't eliminate it, or it really won't reduce it, because valuations go up. With new vehicles coming on or later model used vehicles coming on the tax books, it's going to just slow the growth. There'll still be increases, but it won't be as severe.
During the pandemic, we saw a huge increase in personal property tax values, particularly for cars and trucks when production stopped and demand was high, driving up values.
If tariffs, caused the price of vehicles all of a sudden to go up dramatically, not out of the realm of possibility, this would help provide some protection, some consumer protection on that.
Representative Kemp Strickler says under this measure, personal property tax would be treated like real estate taxes through the Consumer Price Index and the Hancock Amendment.
The intent of Hancock Amendment, I believe, is to manage the growth of our taxes and make sure we're not overtaxed, and yet allow for districts to allow them to have growth because of inflation.
Other representatives like Kathy Steinhoff were concerned it still might take tax money away from services.
This is not going to be a significant cut to those entities, but it still represents the bigger picture of making sure that we have an opportunity for those servicing districts to be able to provide the needs that their citizens have come to expect.
The measure's been sent over to the Senate, where the bill's sponsor says he believes it has a good chance of passing before spring break, given the governor's push to reduce taxes.
Life in prison plus 20 years. That's the fate of the man convicted in the deadly shooting inside an Applebee's in St. John. A judge handed down that sentence on Courtney Washington today. A jury found him guilty last month in the 2020 shooting. 3 women were shot inside the restaurant. Kimberly Penton was killed. Prosecutors say Washington did not know his victims. An open call tonight to local churches to help put an end to cycles of violence in St. Louis. We're still 3 months away from the Urban League's Grill to Glory kickoff. As Brent Solomon explains, organizers are looking to expand their crime-fighting initiative.
It's a strategy for a safer St. Louis, being drafted inside these walls. But the real work happens over the heat of a grill. Today, 345 churches across the St. Louis area are signed on, including East St. Louis. But the goal is to reach the whole region.
Every church, every Saturday, every neighborhood. That would do so much for the psyche of St. Louis right now.
It's called Grill to Glory, the local effort that started in 2019, now growing, recently expanding to Kansas City and Memphis.
Social service is not the answer. The police is not the answer. It's the church.
The concept is simple. The Urban League provides the hot dogs, buns, and the grill. Churches provide the meeting ground for 2 hours every Saturday, beginning at the end of May.
How do we begin to re-engineer society?
When a local mother found a photo of her 13-year-old son holding a gun, the Urban League was there to intervene, de-escalating violence before anyone could pull the trigger.
Ones in gangs, they come by and get a hot dog. They even ask for prayer. They know that if they keep on doing what they're doing, they're not going to be here that long.
Organizers are now preparing to knock on doors to recruit more faith partners, believing that a hot dog and a conversation can repair fragmented communities.
Do it every Saturday and watch how the neighborhood begins to relate to the church like neighbors haven't related to churches since the 1960s and the 1970s.
Brent Solomon, 5 on your side.
The Grill to Glory season officially kicks off May 30th. If your congregation wants to host a weekly cookout, the Urban League is asking you to call 314-337-3683 to get free supplies to get started.
The Medal Count is sponsored by Ford.
And Team USA is climbing in the medal count, surpassing Italy for second place. The United States' 27 total medals trails Norway by 7. Does winning Olympic gold come with a hidden bill from the IRS? A Five on Your Side viewer asked us to verify whether U.S. Olympians have to pay taxes on their medals and prize money. The payouts can be tens of thousands of dollars. Even the medals themselves have real value.
I think they estimated in the 2024 Olympics that a gold medal was worth about $1,000. Even if they don't give you cash for that, the value of the medal is worth that.
When it comes to taxes, not every athlete is treated the same. Why some Olympians owe and others don't. You can watch our Verify report tomorrow night at 10. A hidden danger lurking beneath your home.
Every home needs to be tested for radon.
The invisible gas doctors say is leading to more cancer cases.
The second, most common cause of lung cancer.
Plus, the price to keep your family safe.
I think for $1,000, who wouldn't want to protect their family against lung cancer?
After looking at some of those crazy skies today, at times with some hail, Mother Nature is making some chilly changes just in time for the weekend. What you need to know as we look to finish out the month of February.
Lung cancer rates are on the rise in non-smokers, especially women. In part 2 of our special report about this disturbing trend, we take a closer look at a hidden risk doctors say more families need to know about and what you can do to protect your home. For most families, home is where they feel safest. But experts say there's a danger that can build up inside, quietly, without anyone knowing. Lynn Wilson has lived in this Wentzville house for 13 years. She works out in this basement. Her daughters hang out here. And today, she's testing for radon.
It does show up, but it's on a low level.
Radon is a gas that you can't see or smell, but doctors say it can cause cancer. It forms when uranium in soil and rock breaks down beneath your home. It seeps in through cracks in the foundation, gaps around pipes, sump pumps, and crawl spaces.
It also depends on how your ventilation system is working in your house, your HVAC system, and that actually pulls the gas inside of your house.
Sherry Suma is with St. Louis Radon Test and Mitigation, and she says testing is the only way to know if radon is there, and where you live doesn't guarantee anything.
Every home needs to be tested for radon. Your neighbor could have elevated levels of radon and you may not.
The EPA recommends action when radon reaches 4 picocuries per liter. Picocuries are a measurement of radioactivity.
4 picocuries per liter, which is the EPA action level, is the equivalent of smoking 8 cigarettes a day.
Medical oncologist Dr. Paul Meehan at Missouri Baptist Hospital sees the consequences firsthand.
Radiation-related pollution, and that can be in the form of radon, which is naturally occurring and is felt to be the second, most common cause of lung cancer. Deep breaths.
And he agrees that people most at risk may not even know it.
For non-smokers, there isn't a robust screening program akin to a mammogram for breast cancer or a PSA for prostate cancer.
He says you just need to listen to your body. And the fix for radon, if you need one, is a mitigation system.
It's a venting system that pulls the gas from underneath your slab before it actually gets into your home. This test is going to run for 48 hours.
Back in Lynn's basement, she's weighing that decision. Cost matters, but so does her family.
I think for $1,000, who wouldn't want to protect their family against lung cancer?
Radon has been called the silent killer, not because it spreads quickly, but because it builds slowly in places families trust the most. So as we put a wrap on our 2-part series, it's clear that lung cancer doesn't always look the way we expect. And doctors say awareness, and in some cases a simple home test, can often make all the difference. Well, tonight there are 2 confirmed cases of measles in the Metro East, and now health officials have released a list of more places in Madison County where there may have been possible exposure. We have the full list of locations and times in the As Seen on TV section on KSDK.com. And if you believe you've been exposed, reach out to your local doctor or health department. If you're vaccinated, even if you got it as a kid, you're unlikely to catch the virus. Chief Meteorologist Scott Cottle rejoined us now with the weather impact forecast. And after a beautiful couple of days, we had a bumpy ride today, Scott.
It was a little bumpy today. Look at this photo of these really eye-catching clouds from, of all people, Art Holiday, our latest, greatest weather watcher into the 5 on Your Side Weather Watcher family. He was out today and actually shot this picture. Of course, if you don't know, Art also does a little photography on the side because he's done a little bit of everything over the course of his career at 5 on Your Side. Now he's retired. He's still sending us pictures. Thanks, Art. We appreciate it. You get a ride in the storm tracker next. These were the storms this afternoon. As expected, the ones we saw in the metro area, not a problem. These were the ones as they got over into Bond and Fayette, Marion, and into Clay County in Illinois. The spots we thought we'd see some problems, that's where we saw some brief problems this afternoon. A couple of spots with large hail and also a couple of tornadoes that seem to be just outside of our area. Things are settling down. It is going to be smooth sailing, relatively speaking, but it's also going to feel more like February over the next few days. 45 tomorrow, 43 on Saturday. There is a stiff breeze tomorrow, so it probably feels pretty chilly most of the day. And then by the time we get to Sunday and Monday, we're only in the 30s. So about 10 degrees below average before we bump it back up going into the middle of next week. Two things are happening right now. The much drier air is pushing in. Dew points have dropped about 30 degrees, and it's beginning to get colder. We're at 57 now, 27 for your dew point. West wind, 17 miles per hour. It's been rather gusty at times. We will see temperatures tomorrow morning when we wake up down into the upper 20s to lower 30s. Tomorrow morning, low 30s, still a bit breezy, feeling like it's in the 20s, but on the dry side in St. Louis. Here is your hour-by-hour forecast tomorrow. By 9 o'clock, low to mid 30s. We go towards noon, we're getting closer to 40 degrees, still a bit breezy all day long, but what you're not seeing here during the day is much in the way of cloud cover. Those clouds will come in tomorrow night, but they do so without much fanfare. Dry weather's expected into the weekend. Might want to get that car a little shiny this weekend with another car wash. So here you go. Temperatures really cooling off for the upcoming weekend and into early next week before we make the turn and send it back above average for the middle of next week. Hard to believe February's flying by. You know, next week, we're done with February as we get into next weekend.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Isn't that amazing?
It's going by fast. All right, Scott, thanks. Here's Frank with sports.
Mike, we have some content for you tonight. Ali Marmol, Josh Schertz, and Ricky Prohl on their respective ball clubs, and we'll hear from the women who won the gold in hockey. So you know how we've had this remarkable Billiken basketball season? Well, I want you to think about this for a moment. Despite the fact they're 24-2, if they lose to VCU tomorrow night at home, they're in second place in the Atlantic 10. That's hard to believe, isn't it? Let's hope it doesn't happen. But remember when they met earlier? SLU won for the first time ever at VCU. The pride of Pattonville, Kellen Thames, exploded for 18 points in that one. But VCU is smoking hot. They've won 10 in a row, and they've beaten SLU in 17 of their 24 games. Earlier today, Josh Schertz addressed the media.
The circumstances in the season are fluid. You know, you won 18 in a row. Now we're on a losing streak, right? We lost one. So, you know, the principles and stuff we talk about are not, you know, they're solid. So, like, you know, the keys to winning 18 in a row are the same keys as to stopping a one-game losing streak.
SIUE had that magical NCAA tournament season last year. They've won 17 this year. Tonight at Tennessee Tech, Harrison Alexander tried to keep the Cougars close, but they come up short. Tech wins 62-52. I sat down with the new Battlehawks coach Ricky Prohl today. They open at home on the 28th against D.C. In terms of catches actually made in St. Louis, this was the most important one in history. Ricky's grab of the NFC Championship against the Bucs put the Rams in the Super Bowl. What a moment in St. Louis sports. I asked him if his team will also be pass happy.
We're going to try to have a balanced attack, but I think we're going to be probably 70-30, 80-20 pass to run. And that's what, to me, that's what's moving the needle, right? In football now, I mean, it's a passing league. The NFL's a passing league. We want to score points. We want to do it as much, often as possible.
Spring training continues for the Cardinals in Jupiter. Our Zach Parnes is headed there this weekend for 5 on your side coverage. And one of the things that is jumping out for the manager is the leadership skills of the 23-year-old Mason Wynn.
You go through this progression as a player where you see yourself and you're worried about yourself, and it's hard for you to see the whole field. He's starting to see things outside of himself and opportunities to have conversations. Even in the lives, there's a couple of things that have popped up that are really good.
Think about it. Last year at this time, you had people like Nolan Arenado and Wilson Contreras and Sonny Gray, who were in their mid-30s, and now at 23,
Mason Wynn's the veteran.
Yeah, one of the vets. And I think he can handle it because he's got a certain charisma about him. So this is going to be a whole new role for him, and I think he will succeed.
All right, Frank, thanks very much. Coming up at 10:35 on Olympic Late Night, athletes attempt to qualify for the women's free ski halfpipe final. In 11:15, the first Olympic medals in ski mountaineering are awarded in the sprint finals.
Channel 5 can take you inside the games like nobody else can.
Fortunately, the microphone cut out before you heard me say, "I want my mommy."
That's a younger me back in 2002, just before the Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City, taking a test run down the bobsled track. Of course, they made me sign a waiver beforehand, which is never a good sign. You can watch more on this trip down Olympic memory lane right now on the 5 on Your Side app. And
Gosh,
Scott,
you are quite the athlete.
oh yes,
Yeah.
Scott has
Awesome.
a final check of the weather impact.
Seems like there ought to be a promo.
Yeah.
There was
Yeah.
a long time
A
ago.
long time ago. All right, weather-wise, we are talking about a bright sky tomorrow, Saturday, Sunday too, but it's a lot colder. Temperatures will be in the 30s for highs Sunday into Monday, but it is going to be dry from here on out through the weekend.
And there you have it. 5 on Your Side at 10. We're always streaming on your phone and TV. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis. That begins at 4:30 a.m. And have a great and safe tomorrow.